Hi everyone, I'm Mitch Handley from Inventory Hive, and I've created this webinar today about one of our free add-ons, and from a personal point of view, it's probably one of our most underused free add-ons on Inventory Hive. So this webinar is all about mass importing your properties and tenants, or you need to know. So this is quite a good add-on if you've just started using Inventory Hive. And rather than importing all of your properties and tenants in one by one, I'm going to show you today how you can mass import all of those all in one go. So this short webinar will just cover off everything, all you need to know, and hopefully set up your account as quickly as possible. So in this webinar today, I'm going to cover off how you can add on your free CSV mass import tool onto your account. I'll show you the templated spreadsheet you'll require, and also just an insight of how to mass import your properties and mass import your tenants. So they're two separate jobs, but it's really, really quick and it's really easy to get the hang of. So usually once you've done it once, you don't need to do it again. And also, although we've got integrations with such as say Weepit or Propco or loads of other integrations, although they're the quickest way to import your properties on if you want to integrate with us, this free add-on means you can do it in a spreadsheet if you don't integrate with any others. So yeah, I'm going to run through with you now how that works. So the first thing I'm going to cover off today is to basically show you how to add on the CSV mass import tool onto your account. So let me jump to my Inventory Hive account here. So just to note, if you've got a trial with Inventory Hive, you can't add this tool on until you've got a subscription with us. The reason that is that on your trial account, you're allowed to have up to 50 properties on your trial account. But when you take out a subscription, when you go to the checkout section on the account, you can choose the free mass import. So if you've already got a subscription with us, I'll show you how to add it on now. So on the top right hand side, if you click on your name and then click on add-ons, it'll bring up all the additional add-ons you can add onto your Inventory Hive account. Excuse me. So you'll see here that I've already got the CSV mass import tool added on. But if you want to add it on the top right hand side, you just click on install, you just go through the checkout process and it will get added onto your account. So it's really, really simple to get it added on. Again, just to reiterate, this is completely free to add on and it's really easy to use as well. So do that. Once you've added it on, you'll be able to mass import your properties. So once that's been installed, if you click on the properties and reports section on your account, this is where you can add on your properties. So the traditional way, I suppose, is to add them in one by one. And to do that, you click on the plus icon, you click add property, and you fill out all of the information. This isn't really time consuming, but if you want to mass import, say, 100 properties in one go, the mass import tool is the easiest way to do that. So what I'm going to show you now is how to mass import all of your properties. So once you've added on your free add-on, you click on the plus icon here and then click on mass import properties. So the key thing to note here is that you've got to have a template and you can download a templated spreadsheet here. So when you click on download mass import template, it will throw it to the bottom left-hand side corner here. And this is the template spreadsheet you need to create. So another tip I've got for you as well is that it's probably good to make sure that you have, say, a spreadsheet for houses, another spreadsheet for, say, flats or apartments, another spreadsheet for, say, bedsitters, for example. So make sure you have one spreadsheet per property type. And also, I'd also advise on setting up another spreadsheet for the template you want to use as well. So when setting up properties on Inventory Hive, let me just jump back to the traditional way. When you're adding on a property, you can choose a property template. So this is one of the most time saving features on Inventory Hive. So when setting up property, we strongly recommend you choose a property template. So when you mass import your properties as well, you can also choose a template which best reflects those properties. So in this case, it's if you've got, say, houses, say you've got a spreadsheet of houses which are all in a good, furnished in a good condition, then I'd have one spreadsheet for that. So yeah, so make sure you have a spreadsheet per property type and template you want to use as well. So jumping back to the spreadsheet, this is a templated spreadsheet. So it's got a column for each relevant information Inventory Hive requires to mass import your properties. So you've got your reference ID, which is a mandatory field. So when your properties get imported, it will fill that in the top left-hand side corner here straight away. You've got your house number. So this is like number 1, number 2, number 3, etc. You've got your address line number 1, number 2, the address town or city, the address county, postcode, and the country as well. So if you get all that information in the relevant columns, then that will make your importing a lot quicker. So I'm going to use this example now, and make sure you save this spreadsheet somewhere on your computer. So this is just an example I've got here. So I've got all the reference IDs, the address, the postcodes, everything filled in the relevant columns. So all you do is, when you go to mass import your properties, it will ask you to drop in a CSV file. So it's crucial when you save this file, wherever you want to save it, you've got to make sure you save it as a CSV, delimited. So the reason that is that if you try and import, say, a standard Excel spreadsheet, the software or Inventory Hive won't recognize that. It will only recognize CSV. So make sure it's saved as a CSV, delimited. So that's just something to make note of as well. So I'm going to find the file I want to import. So I'm going to click on here on my downloads, and I've already got one set up here. So the property template file. So I'm going to import that in, and it's uploading now and verifying. So this is where you need to map out your columns to make sure the columns match to everything on Inventory Hive. So the Hive system will try and match it for you automatically, but if it's wrong, then you can change that. So you've got the reference ID column here. So again, that is correct. So that's matched up with reference ID. You've got your house name or number. Again, that's correct, already matched up for you. But if there's something you want to swap around, like for example, if the address line 1 is actually address line 2, you can swap that around. And the same with this column here. So make sure you pair up the right columns accordingly. So when it does get imported in, it will use the right fields to fill it in for you. So you just have a quick look to make sure these are all matched up correctly. And once you're happy with that, you just click Apply Associations. So this will then give you a bit of your import options. So this is where you can then assign the properties you're importing now to a specific branch as well. So on my account, for example, I've got a couple of branches, but the properties I'm importing today are going to go to the main branch. But if you want to import them to another branch, then you can do. So just choose that other branch. So I'm going to choose the main branch today. And as I mentioned earlier, you can also choose the best template to reflect the properties as well. So I've got all of my property templates listed here, but today the properties I'm importing in now I'm going to choose the template where they're all furnished and in a good condition. So this saves you choosing a template when you go and edit the properties in the future if you have to. So choose the template which best reflects that property. Also, this is a really handy feature if the properties you're importing now are all, say, a block of flats from the same apartment block. So you can choose a property photo which will appear on the front cover. So the reason that is that, let me just choose an example now. So if I just choose the front cover image, and that image will then go on the front cover that will go on the property image. So when these properties get uploaded in, this image will display at that relevant property. But again, this is only relevant if, for say apartments or flats, because they're usually the same exterior photo. So yeah, so I'm going to choose that just for an example. You then click Apply Associations, and then this will give you an import preview. So this will list out all of the properties which have been accepted to import in. You'll notice at the top that there's an error. So the reason that is because on the top row of my spreadsheet, which I'll just load up now for you, on the top row of my spreadsheet, Inventory Hive would recognize this, but obviously you don't want to import that in. So to delete that out, just hit this, just tick it off here, then click Delete Selected, and then Confirm. So that will remove that property from being imported in. So again, have a quick look down, make sure you're 100% happy with the properties you're importing in. If there's anything you want to edit, then on the right hand side here, you've got the edit option. So if you click on edit, you can then change the address or change the postcode or the country if you wish to. So if you're scrolling down and you noticed an error, like for example, oh, it's not North Road, in fact, this one's South Road, I can change that here, change it to South Road, and then that will update the import preview. So yeah, so that's how you update that. And then you see here, that's been updated to South Road. If you're happy with everything, you click Complete Import. So then this will mass import all of those properties in one go. So on my account previously, I only had one property. And now if I click on View Properties now, it will tell you that the properties have been successfully imported. If you've got more than 20 properties, if it could be say 200 or 2,000 properties, then it might take a little bit longer. Another thing to make sure you do as well is to make sure your subscription, your subscription, is has enough properties available to import all of your properties. So what I mean by that is let's say if you've got 100 property price plan, so your subscription with us is to manage up to 100 properties, but you're trying to import say 200 properties, Inventory Hive won't let you do that. It will create an error because it will recognize that you're trying to go over your subscription. So the import won't be successful. So it will be successful if you're underneath your allotted subscription properties. So yeah, so I've imported all of them properties. I'm now going to click View Properties, and now all of my properties should display. So really time consuming, time saving, and it's just loading up now, hopefully. And here we go. As you can see, all of the properties are imported in. It's got the photograph as well, the exterior property photograph. And then if you click into a property you've imported, it will also display the template you've chosen as well. So if there's any other changes you do want to make, like if you want to update the property photo, then you can do. So it's easier to mass import your properties in one go and then make any edits further down the line if you wish. So in a nutshell, that's how you mass import your properties in one go. So any questions on that, just get in touch at support@propertyreporting.co.uk and we can run through that in a bit more detail with you if you wish. But what I'm going to show you now is how to mass import your tenants. And it's very similar to mass importing properties. So again, on the top left-hand side here, you've got a plus icon and it will say mass import your tenants. And again, we'll provide you with a templated CSV spreadsheet which will require you to follow to make sure your data gets imported correctly. So again, download that template and have a look at it. So this is an example spreadsheet. So what we need, one of the key things we need is on my property screen now, you'll notice that you've got a reference ID. So you've got here, for example, reference number 20, reference number 17, reference number 15. When filling out the tenant's information spreadsheet, to make sure we pair up the correct tenant with the correct property, you've got to make sure the reference ID matches the property ID. So for example, if I want Mr. John Smith to be the tenant for property ID number 1, make sure that's filled that in correctly. So that's just something to bear in mind when filling this out. Also, just a quick point as well, you can only import single tenancies, but what you can do is you can import your single tenancies and then edit that tenancy further down the line. So again, this can help speed up your importing tenant process. So just follow this template of spreadsheet. So make sure the reference ID matches up to the relevant property ID. So if I go to my properties now, you'll notice that no tenants have been set up. So the student reference is a reference ID that you can add in, sorry, not student reference. The tenant reference is a reference you can add in for your the relevant tenant, so you can help search that tenant in the future. Add in the title, the first name, the last name, a telephone number, and the reason we ask for a telephone number is on Inventory Hive, when you create reports for that specific tenant, it will send the tenant a text message, just letting them know that a report has been sent to their email address. So there is a separate webinar about that called the paperless process, so do have a look at that. The email language, and again, when we send the tenants the email of their reports, the email they'll receive can be chosen in a specific language as well. So I'm just going to choose English. The tenant's email address, which we've filled in here, again, these are just examples. The management category, so you can choose either fully managed, let only, or rent collection. So fill that in accordingly. If you leave it blank, then it won't get filled in. Then you've got a company let. So if it's yes or no, if it is a yes, make sure that's filled in with the number 1. But if it's a no, then make sure you put a 0. So usually when you're filling in the tenant's details the traditional way, it will ask you the management category. So you've got fully managed, let only, rent collection, and if it's a company let or not. So you can fill that in. And if it is a company let, then you can put a name in. But if you fill that in on this spreadsheet here, for example company, that will type it in straight away for you there. So yeah, so that's just the reason why we ask for that information. So this is the example. Once you've filled this out and saved it on your computer, you're now ready to mass import those tenants to that property. So again, just hit on this plus icon and mass import your tenants, and then choose the file you want to upload. So I'm just going to choose that file. So I've got the tenant templated one here. Again, it must be saved in a CSV file when you do save it. So that's importing in now. And those tenants should match up to the relevant property on Inventory Hive. Again, these should be filled out. So you've got your reference ID belongs to the tenant reference. You've got the that's a tenant reference, and that is the property ID. So that's quite crucial to make sure the ID matches up to the relevant property. Again, just make sure these are all filled out correctly and they match up accordingly. For example, the last name matches up to the last name here, the phone numbers and the email. So make sure all of that information is filled out correctly. If you're happy with that, again, just click Apply Associations, and then that will give you an import preview, just like before. Again, you need to delete out the top one. So if you hit the plus icon, tick it off there, it will delete it out. But if you want more info on why an import might get rejected, if you hover over this here, it will tell you the reasons why. For example, if you've already got the tenant set up on your account, an error might throw up saying tenant already exists. So it does throw up some error messages sometimes to let you know if you're trying to duplicate an import. So that's just something to bear in mind. So again, I'm going to delete that one out. And then it will list out all of the tenants here, and it will show you which property they're going to get assigned to. So for example, I've got Jane Smith, she's going to get assigned to property number 15, example. And the management category is all filled out here as well. Again, if you need to make any edits, just click on the edit icon here, change the number, change the management category if you wish, and that will get updated accordingly. So yeah, click save. If you're happy with that, you click complete import, and then Inventory Hive will then mass import all of those tenants into the relevant properties. So you'll get a notification letting you know those imports have been successfully done. You click on your view properties again. It might take a couple of seconds to import and upload. And here we go. So if you click on a relevant property, it will throw down that tenant has now been imported. So in about 10 minutes, I've mass imported 20 properties and 20 tenants in less than 10 minutes. So it's a really, really good handy tool to use. And again, it's completely free of charge. You can mass import, again, as many properties as you want, as long as they're within your property subscription criteria. So yeah, so in a nutshell, that's how you mass import all of your properties and tenants in one go. That pretty much concludes everything from this webinar. What I would recommend as well is to give us a like, follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, because we post a lot of content on those social channels as well. So do keep an eye on them, and please do follow them. We post some really good, useful content for all of our users. And again, if you do have any questions about today's webinar, please get in touch at support@propertyreporting.co.uk, and we'll be more than happy to help you and run through any questions you had. So yeah, thanks for your time today, and please do get in touch.